Alright, good morning. It's time to open up the hoop house. It's 45 degrees out. Let's see what we got in here. Okay, it's about 86. We got to it in time. Not too hot. Spinach is looking great. I did water yesterday. Everything is going to be good on water for a while. Everything looks pretty much the same. Looking good. I really love using my onion greens for all sorts of meals. And I don't know if it's visible or not, but when I do trim greens off, I'm wondering how I'm impacting the onion itself. My guess it's having a negative impact. But I can't help but pick some onion greens because they're good. Good on a lot of things. Most meals, every meal of the day, you can use onion greens. Same as eggs. Alright, let's throw this up so dogs don't mess with my space. Alright. Now, I was reading some stories this morning about several places on the globe where water was becoming scarce, fresh water. Oahu was one that was mentioned, how their system basically relied on aquifers, and fresh water is, being rationed in other places like Bogota, Colombia. I read an article stating that, morning Saia, good doggy, I'll let you out in a minute. Rationing was so severe that for 24 hours during certain times of the week, water was off completely. And that's a city of 9 million people. I've got water storage myself because I think the idea of having water storage makes sense. I've got a number of these 55-gallon drums, and I've got 3, what are they? 250, shy of 300 gallon per drum, or not drum, these big tanks. I've got these, and I've got this adapter deal. These are not easy to come by, at least in the right size that I've found, but I want to adapt it so that I can put a hose on there. But so far I've only found one that's been a good fit, and unfortunately mine are different sizes down here. It says the big handle here. Somebody's texting me. You see that? You open up this and it gushes out. Anyway, last winter, 2022-2023, these froze solid. So I had a huge, 4x4x4 ice cube, and it was bulging the crap out of these. So this winter, I left a more empty space at the top to accommodate the expanding ice. But this winter didn't freeze as much. Anyway, let's take the dog for a walk. Water is a good idea. And unfortunately for me, I have a stream next to my home as well. Let's go, girl. Maybe the thought for the day is get water. And that goes along with yesterday's, which was the idea of planting food. And it's a good idea probably to learn now rather than learn in a hurry. I grew up gardening with my dad, and to be honest with you, I had zero interest at the time. It was more of a chore for me, and he made us do yard work every Saturday. In fact, growing up, Saturdays were not a day of rest. Sunday was, but Saturday was a day of labor. Even when I was little, 5, 6. My brother and I were told, do this, go rake up leaves. And pretty soon that turned into mowing the lawn. And when I was a kid, mowing the lawn meant using just a push mower, a non-motorized push mower with the open blades. An interesting thing happens out here when it rains a lot, because there's a lot of sandstone out here, like in Moab, Utah. So this is the sandstone where you think it was stone, but actually it's just compressed sand. You can hit it with a hammer and it falls apart pretty quickly. In fact, I'm wearing into it just with my finger. But there are big pieces of sandstone, big pieces. There are big sections of the ground where this just covers an area. And if you got a flat enough stone, sometimes even little bowls are created due to rain, and that's where water collects. My dog drinks of water sometimes out of spots like that. Anyway, I'm gonna cut for a second. So here's a natural slab of sandstone right here. It's probably 40 feet by 20 at the widest. But here I've taken note of when it rains, you have these natural depressions that collect water, and I'm going to pour some in for Saia so she can have a little drink. Maybe I'll use this small one here. Don't want to use a lot of water. You thirsty, Saia? Here you go. Have a drink. Good girl. Okay, go lick the water. Yeah, there's probably 20 or 30 depressions on this slab of sandstone. And gallons and gallons of water. Water, the resource we can't do without, no doubt, huh? Oh, I also read an article stating that, the computers and servers that process AI development use lots and lots of water too. Elon Musk even said that by the end of 2025 that they'd be using more than their fair share, and then it would probably impact the electrical grid in a very negative way. So AI, from another standpoint, is using valuable resources. Oh, by the way, we're in a spot that I call the Three Sisters. I nicknamed it that when I first came out here. This was one sister here, two, and the third. And since I moved here, in fact, I think one of the sisters completely fell. Yes, that's what happened. Oh man, this is gonna suck here. All this shit. Let's see. Just charge in, dude. Do it. Ugh. So, one sister, two. And really, I called this one. It was like a clump of trees was one. But a third sister fell this year. This one here. I guess it was kind of a form of just kind of keeping track. See this guy? When they fell, You could tell it had zero root system. Yeah, look at that. There's not even a root ball. It's just completely gone. So trees that, you know, it looks dead obviously, and it was. But I wonder how many trees are suffering and we don't even know it. So one of my sisters is gone. The three sisters is now the two sisters. Or the twisted sisters. I'm gonna take you over to a place I call Rabbit Camp now. I'll cut. Oops, dang it. You know, this harness is great, but it's kind of fragile as far as undoing it. You just barely touch the clip and it comes apart. So we're entering a space owned by a guy that moved to the basin a couple years ago. He bought 10 acres of land. I met him when I was on my walks. He happened to be out here. He doesn't live out here. He wants to, I guess, eventually. Well, he's allowed me to camp on his property with my kids. In fact, I left my tent out here over the summer in 2022. Beautiful tree, huh? Dead. I bet it has barely a root ball. A good wind will take it down. I've seen it happen over here already. There were some big trees over here. You know, obviously dead, but I guess people don't kind of consider the root ball. And the root ball was gone. Here's a good example. I mean, another good example. See this tree here? Root ball, no more. They just snap in the wind. And how important are trees? Well, geez, if you ask Bill Gates, not that important. But man, they provide ecosystems for small critters. They keep soil microbes, you know, humming. They retain water. Water retention is important in all landscapes. So this is entering the rabbit camp that I nicknamed it. Before I met the owner of the property, I took note of all the cages and also the fact that there are a lot of wild rabbits around here. I just nicknamed it Rabbit Camp. But it turns out the guy wanted to raise rabbits out here. And he had these fancy French rabbits with beautiful pelts. And this is his land here, and his camper off in the distance. I'm not gonna intrude much further. Our last interaction wasn't very pleasant, unfortunately. I'd been caring for his rabbits in the summer and the winter, watering them. And it turns out the last interaction I had with him was him getting angry at me because the water froze. Yep, the water froze, and that's why he was pissed at me. So I figured, nah, I don't need to deal with you anymore, man. I'll come out here and take care of your bunnies. His bunnies aren't even there anymore. I think he gave up. Cut. Oh, I wanted to share this spot. I always imagined it being in its sort of prime condition. And this, what you see here, this depression, this dip down, it follows a natural trench where water once flowed. So you can imagine this space was probably a 20-foot wide expanse of water. And this tree at one point had leaves on it. This would have been a little oasis. I like this spot. I guess you can hide from the wind in here too. And today is a tad windy. Beauty tree. It's the beauty tree. Yeah, the Three Sisters. I'm going to let you in on something. When I nicknamed it the Three Sisters, I kind of had in my mind that I would continue to watch the Three Sisters and that they would somehow be a signal to me, an omen. One of them's gone. It kind of felt like if they ever all disappeared, then that would have some kind of meaning, and I can't put my finger on what meaning that is. But I have witnessed the falling or the felling of a handful of trees out here. But there's one in particular that I nicknamed Joshua Tree. I'll show it another time. Joshua Tree is one, it's a lone tree out in the desert. It's not far from where I am right now. But that tree, I named it that just because it's a solitary tree off in the desert. But I renamed it Nara's Tree after Nara died. She was buried under that tree at the foot of it. So Nara's Tree is another landmark. I have several landmarks out here just because I visit this area so much. And when I refer to the areas, my kids are starting to learn the landmarks with me. So when I talk to them on the phone or discuss with them my walks, where I was, what happened there, you know, whether or not Saia saw rabbits in a certain area, they know where I'm talking about. And just for the heck of it, I think I'll share, no, I'll share another time. There's a place called the Picnic Spot, quite unique out here. It's kind of an overcropping of sandstone where you can hang out underneath. It's like a miniature, not a cave, but just an overcropping of rock where you can just take shelter. I'll show it another time. And Nara's Tree is off in the distance. Again, I'll show that another time. For now, the desert walk is over, but I'm going to finish this up with showing you the SCOBY that came in the mail. And yesterday, after I kind of fumbled through what SCOBY meant, SCOBY means symbiotic, symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast. Okay, so that's what's growing in there. That little round mass, it's bacteria and yeast. I guess maybe the bacteria. Okay, so you have to have tea, and the tea has been brewing for the last 24 hours, and I put brown sugar in there, and I dropped the SCOBY in. It's a healthy looking SCOBY. It's a light color, but SCOBY is an acronym meaning symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast. So we'll look at the SCOBY in the next clip. All right, girl, come get the water. Get your water. Get some water. Thanks for joining me today, Saia. That water is really meant for Lucky, the neighbor dog, but of course I can't keep her away. Okay, let's put you up. Come on, girl. You got another bucket of water over there. Okay, as promised, I will show you the SCOBY, but let's just put her up. Don't you love the sound of a dog drinking a bowl of water? Maybe I should make it my new ringtone. Just kidding. I think it's kind of annoying. Bye-bye, girl. Be good. Now for the SCOBY. Okay. Here is... I transferred the tea and the SCOBY into this 1 gallon glass dispenser with a spigot at the bottom. Okay, so I got my tea bags still in there. Tea bags. Now I'll show you the SCOBY. If I can get it out gently. There it is. You know, how would you... It's like it's probably almost like gelatinous. but it lives in there. And it swims around and eats the fish food that I give it. Yeah, it loves fish food. Anyway, from the people who grow, they suggest putting a towel over the top for some breathability. So that's what I've done. So that sucker's going to ferment and then end up with some nice kombucha full of yummy probiotics for your tummy. That's it. Adios.